This timeline begins with the year 2025, marking the rapture, not as a prediction, but as a hypothetical anchor to help us visualize the prophetic sequence. The goal here isn't to set dates, but to frame the events with clarity and biblical order. The names Gog and Magog sound similar, but they refer to two completely different wars, separated by over 1,000 years and radically different in scope, timing, and outcome. You can pause here if you need to. The updated timeline image now reflects this framing, with 2025 as the rapture, the Gog War early in the tribulation, Armageddon at the end, and the little season after the millennium. 2025, hypothetical rapture. Both are against God's people, but one is against restored Israel, the other against the saints after 1,000 years of peace. Right now, the Middle East is showing signs of escalation and realignment that could easily set the stage for a major conflict. Key flashpoints as of late September 2025. Israel versus Iran. Israel launched a 12-day war against Iran in June to degrade its nuclear program, followed by a September 9th airstrike on Hamas leaders meeting in Qatar, right on Saudi Arabia's doorstep. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan pact. On September 17th, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a strategic mutual defense agreement, hinting at a possible nuclear umbrella forming over the kingdom. That's a seismic shift. Recent reports confirm that Iran likely conducted an undeclared missile test at its Imam Khomeini spaceport, with satellite imagery showing scorch marks consistent with a solid fuel missile launch, the kind used in intercontinental ballistic systems. While Russia's direct transfer of anti-satellite weapons hasn't been officially confirmed, Iran's space and missile collaboration with Russia has intensified since 2024. That includes satellite launches aboard Russian rockets and shared tech that could have dual-use military applications, including space targeting capabilities. So yes, there's growing concern that Iran is developing systems that could threaten satellites, disrupt communications, or even target orbital infrastructure. It's a chilling reminder of how nations are reaching for the heavens with weapons. Gog rolls in with high-tech armament, missiles, alliances, satellite systems. But God responds with 120-pound hailstones that no bunker or radar can deflect. It's like trying to frame a roof while heaven drops concrete blocks. Ezekiel 38 says that when Gog invades Israel, God responds with overflowing rain, fire, and great hailstones. Not metaphor, not poetry, judgment-grade artillery from the throne of heaven. Revelation 16 adds that each hailstone weighs about 120 pounds. That's not symbolic, that's divine demolition. Gog War, Ezekiel 38-39. A major regional invasion of Israel ends with divine intervention, fire, hail, earthquake. Leads to a 7-year cleanup. Does not end the tribulation. Many believers confuse Gog's war with Armageddon because both involve fire and judgment. But the timing, scope, and outcome are different. Gog War is regional, premillennial, and followed by temple restoration. Armageddon is global, end of tribulation, and followed by Christ's reign. Naming the wars is like labeling the phases of a prophetic build. It gives clarity, structure, and authority to your teaching. Here's a legacy-grade naming framework that captures the essence of each conflict. Naming the 3 prophetic war. The Gog War. Name, the Northern Siege. Scripture, Ezekiel 38-39. Timing, first half of the tribulation. Nature, regional invasion led by Gog from Magog. Outcome, divine intervention, 7-year cleanup. Teaching hook, the siege that sparks the restoration. Armageddon War. Name, the final clash of kingdoms. Scripture, Revelation 16:16, 19:11, 21. Timing, end of the tribulation. Nature, global war against Christ. Outcome, Christ returns, Antichrist defeated, Satan bound. Teaching hook, the war that ends the age. The Gog and Magog War, Revelation. Name: the Last Rebellion. Scripture: Revelation 20 verses 7 to 10. Timing: after the millennium. Nature: global uprising led by deceived nations. Outcome: fire from heaven, final judgment. The siege that meets the fire. 3 wars, 3 sieges, 3 divine responses. Each war reveals a different phase of rebellion and a different facet of God's justice. Gog, Armageddon, and Gog and Magog are storms, but Christ is the cornerstone that never moves. The Northern Siege, Ezekiel's Gog War. False peace, sudden invasion, divine defense. 7-year cleanup and temple restoration. You will come from your place out of the far north, you and many peoples with you. I will turn you around and lead you on, bringing you up from the far north, and bring you against the mountains of Israel. You will say, I will go up against a land of unwalled villages. Gog doesn't just attack, he surrounds, plots, and invades. Israel is caught off guard, dwelling securely. God responds not with diplomacy, but with fire and fury. Calling it the Northern Siege gives it a visual and tactical identity. It's not just a battle, it's a prophetic breach. And it sets the stage for the temple restoration that follows. The Gog War from Ezekiel 38 to 39, a northern siege against Israel during a time of false peace. It's not Armageddon, and it's not the final rebellion. It's a distinct, early breach that triggers divine intervention and a 7-year cleanup. 2025, hypothetical rapture. 2032, Gog War erupts during early tribulation. 2032 to 3032, millennium begins after Armageddon. 3032, Gog and Magog War during the Little Season. Final judgment, eternal state begins. Confusion has muddied a lot of prophetic teaching. The names Gog and Magog sound similar, but they refer to 2 completely different wars, separated by over 1,000 years and radically different in scope, timing, and outcome. Why the confusion happens. Same names, Gog and Magog, are used in both events, but in Revelation they're symbolic of global rebellion. Both involve fire, but Ezekiel's fire is part of a drawn-out judgment. Revelation's is instant. Both are against God's people, but one is against restored Israel, the other against the saints after 1,000 years of peace. Key flashpoints as of late September 2025. Israel versus Iran. Israel launched a 12-day war against Iran in June to degrade its nuclear program, followed by a September 9th airstrike on Hamas leaders meeting in Qatar, right on Saudi Arabia's doorstep. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan pact. On September 17th, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a strategic mutual defense agreement, hinting at a possible nuclear umbrella forming over the kingdom. That's a seismic shift. Connect this to the prophetic timeline. The Gog War in Ezekiel 38 to 39 involves a coalition from the north, including Persia, Iran. If tensions keep rising, we could be watching the escalation of that war being assembled in real time. Earthly weapons, Russia, Iran missile collaboration. Recent reports confirm that Iran likely conducted an undeclared missile test at its Imam Khomeini spaceport, with satellite imagery showing scorch marks consistent with a solid-fuel missile launch, the kind used in intercontinental ballistic systems. While Russia's direct transfer of anti-satellite weapons hasn't been officially confirmed, Iran's space and missile collaboration with Russia has intensified since 2024. That includes satellite launches aboard Russian rockets and shared tech that could have dual-use military applications, including space targeting capabilities. So yes, there's growing concern that Iran is developing systems that could threaten satellites, disrupt communications, or even target orbital infrastructure. It's a chilling reminder of how nations are reaching for the heavens with weapons. Divine response, 120-pound hailstones. And great hail from heaven fell upon them, each hailstone about the weight of a talent. That's roughly 120 pounds per stone. Not metaphorical, not symbolic, but judgment-grade artillery from the throne of God. While nations build missile systems to reach the sky, God sends hail that crushes rebellion from above. Hail is absolutely part of God's judgment in the Gog War, and it's not symbolic. It's one of the literal weapons God unleashes when Gog invades Israel. And I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him, and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain, and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. This isn't poetic language, it's battlefield judgment. God doesn't just stop Gog with diplomacy or angelic whispers. He sends hailstones, fire, and brimstone, a supernatural counterstrike that crushes the siege. It confirms the war is halted by divine intervention, not human resistance. This teaching is based on publicly available scripture and news reports. Any technical references are anecdotal and used for illustrative purposes only. A visual that brings Revelation 16 verse 21 to life. This hailstone weighs about 1 talent or 120 pounds, and it's shown next to a man for scale. It's roughly the size of a small boulder or beach ball, jagged and icy, with a texture that says judgment grade. Those hailstones aren't just meant to disrupt, they're meant to dismantle. Tanks, satellites, bunkers, missile systems, all of it gets flattened under the weight of divine judgment. Ezekiel 38-39 doesn't give a direct duration for the Gog War itself, but it does give us 2 powerful time markers that frame its aftermath. It will take 7 months for the house of Israel to bury them. Ezekiel 39 verse 12. This tells us the cleanup of bodies after the war is extensive and prolonged. That implies the war was massive, but not necessarily long. 7 years of burning weapons. They will use them for fuel for 7 years. Ezekiel 39 verse 9. This is the aftermath of the war, where Israel burns the enemy's weapons instead of gathering wood. It's a sign of total victory and divine provision. The war itself may be short and catastrophic, a sudden invasion met with supernatural judgment, hailstones, fire, confusion. But the aftermath stretches for years, showing how deeply it reshapes the land and the people. Gog's coalition is forming. Russia, Iran, Persia, Turkey, Togarmah, and others are already aligned in various military and economic ways. Global tension is rising. Satellite warfare, Middle East instability, and anti-Israel sentiment are intensifying. Best guess? If we're discerning seasons, not dates, then the Gog War could erupt before or early in the tribulation, possibly as a pre-Armageddon conflict that reshapes the region and sets the stage for the Antichrist's rise. But here's the key. God declares the end from the beginning, and he's not late. Your job isn't to predict, it's to prepare and equip. Be sure to watch Drunk on Rebellion.